the Pilates studio coordinator, and now I have a beautiful partner in the studio. Her name is Erica, and I always want to say it's Leonie, but it's probably not. Leon, thank you, very nice. So she also will be working in the studio, so if you have questions or anything about any of that, please don't run away after class. We would happily talk to you about any of that stuff. And I'm super excited about this because this is my first live class of 2021.
Wow.
So thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Because man, what a crazy, awful time we've had. So I'm super excited. If we have plenty of space here, so if you don't feel comfortable in your space, we can take up as much of it as you can. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I told her I don't usually have a volume issue ever. And here's what I want to do with you guys today especially. So if you would all assume your golf address stance for me, I'll give you a quick overview of what is about to happen to you. So you're here because you heard stretch class, I'm assuming, right, for golfers. So go ahead, let's see your address. My goal with you all today is to unwind everything that this particular posture does to you. Because as you imagine, if you're playing for 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, whatever it is, if you're as terrible as I am, it lasts much too long. And depending on how often you have to hit the darn ball, you're swinging and winding around way too many more times. So our goal is to unwind you today. So I'm going to put as much space in you in the small time that we have together. And Erica has graciously agreed to be the model, because normally I would go around and chances are I would touch you and hug you and squeeze you, and I can't do that. So she gets to be that for me today. But if you have needs, please don't be shy. So the first thing I want to do is I want you to take your club or your towel or whatever you brought with you, and I want you to hold it up. Everything about golf, just like life, if you've been confined to sitting in your desk chairs more so lately than ever before, you're compressed and confined. So while you hold that up, give it a tug. You're trying to pull it apart. You're trying to lift your chest up off your hip bones, and you're just trying to get as much length and height into yourself as possible. You don't want to lock your knees when you do it, right? Very good. And it wouldn't be a bad idea if you actually shoved your hips a little forward, because again, this is where you're going to spend most of your time. So we're going to do exactly the opposite. You can bring them down. So you do that for me a couple times, just scoot up. How far back you go depends on your shoulders and your neck, right? Your arms, your elbows. So when you go up and you go back, you never want to find the pain spot. So if you get cranky shoulders, just be mindful of that, because I will. Now I'm going to hold your arms up there for a second. Make sure your knees are not locking out, right? Go ahead and take that stretch over to the side, because you've done that a million times. Go back up. We'll take it over to the other side, and here's what I want you to be aware of. I don't care how sideways you get. In fact, I would prefer if you didn't get very sideways, but you should go very long. Really try to shove your hip out to the side of that. And again, keep pulling on the towel or the club until you can. Am I allowed?
Yeah. Because you're farther away and they can
I'm
probably
allowed.
hear you a little bit.
Okay. Are we good? All right. I'll keep my distance. It'll be super hard to do. So relax your arms for a second. Do the hula with your hips. And then what I want to ask anybody, if you feel like volunteering, anybody ever done the club? Anybody do a club stretch? Would you demonstrate what you might do? Okay. You've seen this before, right? Everybody's seen this before. Rich, is this something that you do? Okay. So if you don't mind, I'll pick on Fran, because I know her and I don't think she'll mind. Will you do it again? Oh, you can tell she's one of my students, though. She's pretty good. So here's the thing. You are welcome. Erica, will you join them and you can all do that? Here's the thing. I don't know what exactly people are attempting to stretch when they do this. Is it here, Rich? Would you say it's here?
I say it's right along here.
Perfect. That's what we want to stretch. He is not wrong. That is precisely what we need to do. However, if you have to bob your head out of the way to do it, you're now collapsing the neck into the shoulder joint. I don't know what you're getting out of that, and you see it a million times. So unleash, unwind, and do it again without moving your head. Stand as tall as you can. If your arm doesn't get back there, that's the stretch we need to work with anyway, right? Holding your head up. So you could even lean your head into the towel and into the club, because you're spending all this time with your head falling forward. So now take this opportunity wherever you've landed, and you want to make it comfortable, manageable. It's got to be quality. You can't be kinking up something just to get to here. Pull on the towel, pull on the club. Make sure you're not locking your knees. And for a few seconds, go ahead and press that head back into your hand or the towel or the club. You should be looking straight ahead. Don't lift your chin up. And that way you're getting some neck traction too, right? Point the elbow in the air, pull the other arm down. We're trying to put space in, not take space out, so don't crush on yourself. Take a breath, let it go. And remember, when you go to do the other side, keep your head right where you stacked it, right? She's so good. This is the best model. So make sure you don't lock your knees. She is a dancer.
I knew that.
She's a dancer. So we're not gonna let you knock your knees. And just remember, when you grab a hold of the club or the towel, put your head back on where it belongs and give it a pull. In order for something to fully release or relax, you have to fully contract it. So you're not pulling on yourself. If you're pulling on yourself, you're compressing. She's lifting, I hope. She's lengthening this way. She's lifting all of that, and that's where the stretch really lives. The neck being pulled long, that's where the stretch really lives. Take a breath with it and you can let it go. Okay? So it'd be great to do the what not to do's with a lot of the stretches you might already be doing. So does everybody have a cart they can grab a hold of? Can you find a place on a cart where you feel safely spaced away from someone else? Cool. Erica, would you be so kind as I'll put you on that one? Put your hands on the top of the cart. I know, right? If you need to stand on the cart to do it, you probably could. But here's the thing, I don't mind, nope, you gotta come back down, yep. I don't mind if it's out of reach, because you've gotta be able to lift up. Again, we're trying to take everything you were doing folded and unfold it. So if you can put your hands on the cart and then lean into the cart, I'll allow that at some point, but for this, you want to kind of shove your belly button forward. One of the reasons I was so happy to do this outside with carts is because this is stuff you do while you're playing and you get tired and you get fatigued. So take your arms as far up as they'll go, lean your hips in, and if you imagine as you're leaning into the cart that you're keeping your heels on the ground, all you're going to do is stretch down to your calves. Anybody with me on that one? So Debbie, lift up your chest when you do it and cock your hips forward. That's what we're going for. Now, you can come in and out of that position. In fact, you should. So if there's anybody with a tender back, there's a point at which you may not feel comfortable there. So just go just ahead of the place that might be uncomfortable. Squeeze your buns while you're doing it and drive your heels into the floor and repeat that a couple of times. Make sense? Now here's the thing. If you can find a pole on the cart, so grab one of the rails or one of the, yep, and exactly that, and hang from it. Now just make sure, here again, I love that you hang, but you don't want to go down, you want to go back. So as you put your arms up high on that pole, and then you pull back, think of pulling through your shoulder blades. Like what would it look like if instead of just being hinged in your hip, you could pull through your mid-back? And again, kind of get into your heels, have your toes lift up a little bit. And then go back to that plank position where your arms are above the top of the cart somewhere and you lean the hips in. Now while you're doing that little lean in, I'm a plank proponent. Like I'll make you plank all day long because that's the best stuff for your back that there is. Don't let anybody tell you differently. So this is a plank position, so it's allowing you to strengthen the stuff that you're swinging that darn club with because your arms won't do it. Okay? Now, if you were to do that and maybe tuck one foot behind the other, and you lean in, then you can work individually, right? I can stretch each calf all on its own by hanging or cocking one of those feet back. All right, so I'll have you swing back around when you're ready. What's up, brother? Are you joining us?
I was just going to go putt, but I'm watching us join.
Okay. Cross one leg over. I better tell you which one, and I don't know my right from my left, so I'm just going to say this one over that one. It's right over left. I have a wedding present for you in my car. I'm going to get it to you later. Cross over. Good. Yep, so I want you to see it. One's over the front. And then cock your hip out. Now the struggle here is you can't get as much dangle out of this, but if you hang on to one of those sides of the cart, so grab a hold of something and let that whole hip swing out. Remember, you're not trying to really bend sideways, you're trying to go long. So wherever you can position your arm so that you can dangle down the side of that hip and waist, that'd be great. And we cross your legs over so I can hit on some of the different parts of your hip. So stay on that same side, just switch your legs. The closer your feet are to the cart, the further out you can dangle if you're comfortable in your balance. And hang from up high. Yeah, I'd like it if you want to reach that other arm up there too. That's awesome. So if you feel like looking that's as close as I'm going to get to looking like a dancer. Erica, how am I doing? Right, that's it. So turn yourself around. Start with one leg across the top, stick your hip out, and really try to go long with all of this, right? I'm 5'3", but I'll tell you all day long, work like you're 6 feet. So as you drive out, let the weight come along the side of the ribs. Perfect place to take a giant breath because those ribs are spread out. So breathe on that space, get the stretch from the inside out. Love that. And listen, I don't linger in anything too long. Spend a couple of seconds, a breath cycle or two, and then switch your feet. And using that other arm to create some lift. I never let my elbow bend because I don't want you to hook your arm over your head. I want you to go up towards the ceiling with it. Yep. And I love the cart because it offers you an opportunity to be able to decompress your parts. So with that in mind, you can unwind your feet. Are all of you able to sit in the cart, like in the side? Let me, Erica, if you were to sit on the seat closest to the rail. Now, you can't do too much sitting because you're already going to be doing that when you're playing, but we'll do for the stretch. So if she sits in that cart, slides her hips off the front end where she can prop herself up. Yeah, go ahead and kind of bridge your butt up off of that. See that? That! It doesn't look very ladylike. Nobody's looking but us. And down. So she's bridging her bottom forward. This, huge. Now, you don't have to do it in the seat. You could kind of do it just standing there, but you're going to get more degree of motion if you start in a place where, yeah. And I would go up and down. Now, the cool thing about that stretch is it's opening up the shoulders too. The problem is, or the chest. If your shoulders aren't comfortable here, I'll have to give you another way to go with it. But that is huge. That's your plank backwards, and you need all of that, especially if you're going to bend over those golf clubs all day long. So that, release it back down, take a couple. You could do it with one or both legs if you're feeling frisky enough, because then you can identify which side is and isn't working for you. So if you've ever had yourself go through your swing and you come out with a bad back after, that one side or the other may need a little more oomph. Make sense? So while we're still here, right, I'm going to see if I can get her to, because the handles make things a little tricky. If you were to turn sideways in the seat, the leg that's on the outside, dangle it down and behind you. So we're going for this, but not everybody's going to be comfortable to do that standing. Now, if you are, go ahead and climb on out of the chair, right? But that chair is great because you're going to be in the cart, so it's off. It'll give you an opportunity. We've got a foot behind you, and I want you to cock your hip forward and sink down. Now, you don't have to stay in it, but the idea is, can you squeeze your buns? Because that way internally you're getting into that hip flexor. I consulted with the pro. Anybody work with Jean Bartholomew?
Yeah.
Right? Big fan. I seem to have a lot of her fans. The thing she sees as a pro, tight hip flexors, tight hip flexors, tight hip flexors, because this is what they do all day. So this is an opener. Move it around, right? For sure. You can add that hang from the top, from the bottom, whatever you can grab, right? You can switch, you can hang out on the other leg. And if you have knee discomfort, if this by any way gives you any sort of knee discomfort, that's what sitting on the seat will offer you, is you can offload your knees. But you're trying to move this that way. And then you add whatever you want from the top end to unlock those lats you were talking about, right? Put your hand on the golf seat, and that way you can really balance and get into that stretch. A couple of breath cycles of that. Now, I'm going to take that stretch a little farther. You have these options to work with if you don't like where I'm going. When you take that tap, like, it's this. You've seen this a million times. I want to nuance that stretch for you because it's a horrible stretch if you're not doing it the way it should be done. So if you can't physically, if your arm's too short, right, I could take that towel or the golf club, or I could set it up on the rail of the cart. So Erica, you can pick whichever way you want to grab, but this is what you're going for. And that way you have something to lean on. Here's the point of the stretch that's often missed. Aim the knee down, maybe back, but you're not taking your hand and jamming your foot into your bottom. You could, but boy, you're killing your knee tissue to do that. So when you grab the leg, lift your chest up, And then squeeze your bottom and push the foot into your hand, like you're trying to push back. Anybody get a sensation in there?
Yeah.
So pushing back means you're firing the muscles that we need to be using anyway. And then you're taking all that thick tissue that gives us knee grief and allowing it to stretch. Now, if you need to stop, you stop, whatever. I'm gonna add one more thing to it. So you might find benefit to bringing it up, just don't jam it in. So I'm not saying you can't lift if you have the capacity for it. So I'll show you on Erica. Grab the foot, whichever way you wanna go. So if she was to aim her elbow up, like bend your elbow. Like, see how she moved it in, but it's going up. She's also, if she's pushing against it, she's adding, it's a 2-for-1. She's gonna open up the part of the chest that you guys are collapsing frequently when you're addressing the ball, right? So if you haven't yet, switch legs. I get stuck sometimes, I don't want you lopsided. But remember that it's position, and if it can't grab your leg, you know I could be back here, same thing. But you're squeezing the hip forward and pushing the foot back. Your arm is just there to stop it. It's not there to yank on it. Trust me when I tell you, if you're using your arms to pull your limbs in, you're crushing the space, you're not creating it. Does that make sense? We want to create space. Okay, so having done some of that, I'm going to go back to that towel or club that you have. I'm going fast, aren't I? You slow. You're allowed to breathe. You're supposed to breathe when you stretch. I forget all about that. So if you go up this way, now remember where your head's supposed to be and do your best not to pop it out of the way. So just gently bring it behind you. Now, not everybody's going to go the same, right? She got stuck. Doesn't your head really want to come forward? Ponytail? No, but for a lot of times that's the problem, and it's because this is tight. So don't force your hands farther back than they'll actually go, but wherever you've landed, right? Did you get your back out of the way to get there? Put your back together, tip your head back, and just slide it to one side. So with one hand you're pulling this way, and the other hand is pulling back. Create that tension, because then when you stop squeezing your muscle, you'll get release in the muscle. Make sense? So you're not pulling on one, you're pulling on both. And you probably should have some sensation somewhere in there. If you're not getting feedback, you want to know. So heads back, heads up. Side if you have it. But again, each side gives you an indication of where you're at. They don't always behave the same way, right? And you want to do as much to pull your elbows back as you can. You may not get there, but work that direction. All right? All right, now, you can use the club for balance. You can use the cart for balance if you don't have a club. I'll take your right leg back. Okay? So just put it behind you. You're not going to put a whole lot of weight on it, right? And you have to keep your posture right. So if you just pendulum forward, right? If I just bend you over, and the way you bend over is by sticking your butt back, you don't have to worry about balance. That's why I stuck the foot on the ground. And that's all right. So when you bend over, what muscle do you notice is being used when you do it? Anybody know? As you go forward and back, this is the pulley system that gets you up. Make sense? It's attached to these. Anybody ever try to stretch these? Show me how you do it. How do you stretch your hamstring? 100%, right? Stop it. I'm just kidding. I'm just picking on you. So here's the thing. Golf is already going to bring you forward. We already determined that these are tight. So why is that going to help you? It's probably not going to help you as much as if, instead, hold your posture up, stand up by the cart, get tall, bring the foot up. Whether it's on the ledge of the cart, I know you don't want to put it on the seat, but I'm sure we can clean it after you're done. Rest it on something, right? Anything you want. Now here's the thing. Make sure you're square. Yeah. So now, here's the thing. Will you do that again? Do that again. Do that again. Do that again. Okay, everybody see that? Y'all do that? Okay, so come up. Here's the deal. Your knee can be loose. It doesn't have to be straight, but your back has to be straight. If you're going to stretch what's attached here to here, your back can't round because then you're getting the give way. So let the knee loosen up and then go ahead. Lean yourself into it, or I would stay as upright as I could and press that leg hard into it. That's how to stretch it. I would leave you in that tall, heightened position and try to stick your butt as far back as you can. Meaning you won't really go. Does anybody feel a stretch? How about this? You may not have as much stretch as you would like, so let's add on to it. Keep the knee a little soft, bring the chest to whatever position, butt's back. Now bend those toes back in your tennis shoes. Try to pull them towards your nose. That's the effective way to go after what you're looking for. Now, if you want to lean forward and grab the toe, that's fine, but your posture should be perfect if you're going to attempt it. Otherwise, you're hurting yourself, not helping yourself. Anybody want to try it on the other leg, or you want to just leave that one for later? I'm totally kidding. Totally kidding. So, make sense? Everybody with me on that so far? I would bring your leg up rather than you down, whatever degree you can, and then I would press into the back of the leg. Again, fire the quad muscle, that's the one that's trying to straighten the leg, to press down, and that should solicit some stretch. But I'm open for challenge and concern if you have it. Toes feel back, and the reason I love that is because firing that shin will help loosen your calf. Your calf's anxious will allow you to make that turn in your swing. Some of you have that missing component, and it doesn't have a whole lot to do with something other than just simply having some mobility down there. And it's also knee grease. So if you will do that with your toes, work it from your hips, you give to your knees. We good so far with that? Awesome. All right, so once you've finished out of that one, I always do the little hip hula just to make sure you get it all back where you started. And then again, I'll lean into the cart. So however you can position yourself, you need to have something to sort of brace yourself with. So whether it's the fine or the top, if you're so inclined. I'm going to put your right foot in front of the cart and leave your left leg as far back as you can where your heel is down. So I'm going to kind of continue. Anybody have cranky knees? I don't mean in this, I just mean in general. Usually there's a few of us with, something going on. If you lean forward, and we want to make sure to give you knee grease in this process, we already did a straight leg calf stretch. Now let the knee give way, and while you're still working to put the heel down, I'm still trying to stick my heel down, but I'm aiming the knee at the floor, you should feel the stretch climb down into the lower portion of your Achilles. Anybody got that? I tell you what, anybody not have it that would like to have it? Do you have it? So it's the idea that the lowest part of your calf will never get stretched unless you can bend your knee. The upper calf gets the stretch with a straight knee. The lower part, however, does not. And for those of you that are tennis players too, that needs to be part of what you're doing. Okay, so here you're back here. Lean in the hip, so that begins the stretch. Now I'm going to aim your knee down, but at the same time, I'm still sort of working that heel down. So let the heel can give way. Go ahead and aim. Yes. Now, while it's in that position, just push down through your heel, just creating your own. Does that make sense? It'll pull through here, but sometimes position-wise, it's tricky to get to. Switch if you haven't. But by bending the knee, I'm sort of aiming that knee into the ground, and then working to pull that heel down. So if you had a partner that you don't mind touching in your golf land, they could gently pull that heel down for you. Make sense? Okay. All right, so I'm going to pick you up out of that. That's so funny. I thought you were dodging the bird like you knew he was coming. Okay, so now, just to be sure, will you all address your ball for me?
Yeah.
Something I want you to be very well aware of, right? So, here's profile. Here's profile. Here's my profile. Do you notice that something is off about it at all? I like that you went for that. So how often are you leaning in to address the ball with your nose as opposed to your torso? After 20 minutes on the golf course, you're looking for a ball all the time, so you're always going to dump your head. So again, I want to reinvent neck traction with you, right? So you could use your towel, but I think your hands will work just fine. So free up your hands, and you're going to bring them to your forehead. Now here's the rub. If I could touch you, I would take the golf club along your back so that you could feel, when you turn profile to everybody, right? Make sure your head's back here, right? So as opposed to, thank you for letting me spin you, as opposed to it being forward, she's got to set it on your back, not your front, right in front of your forehead. And now for 10 seconds, to be sure your chin is parallel, okay? You're not looking up, you're looking straight ahead. For 10 seconds, press your head against your knuckles. You'll feel some of your jaw, a little bit of your neck. 10, 9, 8, press. I mean, get it some bigger. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Don't move, just relax. So stop the pressure. And you want to see, can you retract your head again? And then bring your hands to it. And just give it one more round. 10, 9, 8. So literally, I kind of picture the sibling thing where they stick your, I can't go, I can't go, I can't go. That. 5, 4, 3, 2, and then just relax. Now roll your shoulders for a second. Neck and shoulders are connected. If you have anything going on in neck and shoulders, they're connected, and they're connected to here. So that's why all those lat stretchers, these muscles here hold your neck hostage. We know this, right? So that's why as often as you can, anything above you and hanging in traction is so vital, right? Don't skip it. So now you can relax once again. I'm going to have you tip your head to the left. Now, thank God we don't have mirrors, because I hate mirrors. I want to move somewhere where they don't have mirrors. But do it a couple of times just to the left. And you want to make sure that you're not twisting at all, just, it's a tilt. Some of us have zero tilt. Some of us have very restricted tilt, like it makes my eyes cringe right there. But leave your head to the left, okay? And this is very important, super important. Remember I said you never pull on yourself. You're not gonna do that. You're simply gonna take the same side that your head's on, that left arm, and I want you to hang it over your head. Like literally just hang it on your head. Not hard, but just hang it. So your head can't move. That's the point. You're not gonna pull on your neck. And if you've been doing that up to this point, please let me encourage you that you are paying chiropractors, neurologists, and all sorts of neck people to fix that for you if you keep doing it. Chances are it'll be expensive. But with your arm there, press against your arm with your head, but you're restricting it, right? You're not gonna let it go. 5, stretch the other arm way down while you're at it. If you feel like it, you can slide the other arm behind your back. Just make sure your knees are unlocked. Now don't move, just relax, because you need this arm to put your head back. I don't want to use that freshly stretched tissue to yank it back. Roll your shoulders. And now let's take it to the other side. And here's the point. It ends up in this or whatever that is. That's what we're addressing. But the bigger picture is what's happening through the rotator cuff and all of that. So when you dump your head over, practice it. It usually gets there easier on the second and third one rather than the first. So find your side. Same arm as that side that you're on. You're just going to dangle it over the top. Yep. And once you're in place, stretching the other arm down, go ahead and push up against that hand. 5, 4, 3, 2. Relax there, and then you push it back. Now, what would have been fun if I'd have been using my head, I would have had you test your range of motion first, and then we would have gone back and reviewed it. But you may know. Just kind of see what your range of motion looks like. Because we'll do just one more thing. Are you okay with neck and shoulder stuff? Can I do another one? Because that's a big one. Because you will spend a lot of time this way. And this, when it's off your back, weighs more, and it costs all of this connective tissue far more than when it's up here. So again, I'm going to have you set your head back, okay? And this time we'll go ahead and put your hands in the back. Now remember, don't move your head out of the way to get there. I'll have you checking on that one. Peel your elbows back, and again for about 10 seconds without lifting your chin, just drive back into your hands, but prevent movement. Now I also get to stretch this part of you all at the same time. Soft knees, tall bodies, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Now don't move, just relax, and then you can release your arms, because I want to make sure you don't lose your good posture that you just stacked up. Okay, so go like that. And I forget we have props. Do it with your towel or your club. Bring it back here. So I have, if you'll flip around, Erica, your palms are facing up, okay? Hate that. Terrible. Anytime we're this way, we've rolled your shoulder joint in. We're already going to do that. So let's take your hands instead and flip them around the other way if you haven't. Figure out what's your range of motion on the lift. And everybody's going to be different, so don't judge it off of somebody else. Just see what yours is. So however far back you take it, don't let it move your torso, because that way we'll have a true picture of what it actually is. Now listen, if you run into anything that's sticky or uncomfortable, you don't go there. I don't go there. We're not stretching that in any way, shape, or form if it's painful. So let's say you took it out wherever you were going to go. And then take a few seconds while you're there to try to pull the club apart or pull the towel apart. Spend 10 seconds pulling open. 9, 8, 7, 6. Be sure we unlock your knees. You're tall while you do it. Now you can relax a little bit. Okay? If that's going pretty well, we're going to add a little something to it. So do it again. And let's go ahead and move your head to one side. In a Pilates environment, we call this chest expansion. Roll your head to the other side. So while those shoulders are pinned back and you turn your head, you have the capability of opening up your chest and you're pulling apart. You can do 100 things at once, I'll make you. So you can relax from there. Okay? We're going to do it one more time. I'll add to it. So pull it back, squeeze your buns, and lift up your chest. And you can take your head in every direction that you're capable of with free motion. So if it's a tilt, it's a turn, remember you're pulling the club apart, you're pulling your chest apart. Awesome. And I'm a big fan of what's going backwards. You won't see us do pretty much nothing that's going to put you in this position, because we want to unwind it, right? As opposed to pull it forward. I got the spotlight right now. The sun is awesome, but I'm blind completely. So relax your arms back down, and it's always good just to kind of test range of motion. I'll always roll your shoulders backwards, so if you're stretching for a golf game, skip everything that's forward, roll it on backwards. So let's go ahead and take your right hand out, and I'll take the towel if you have it, but if you're using a club, you can skip that. But I'm going to flip your hand down, nothing you haven't seen a million times. But here's the thing, most people will take that other hand and just absolutely just crush it. What if instead you leave your arms stuck out there? Now, I'm going to tuck elbows. You see, that's how I know she's a dancer. She's got those hyperextensive joints. Choreographers love you. So if you happen to notice that you're inside out elbows, do you see what I'm talking about on her? Anne, is that you? My darling. So she's going to have to bend that elbow a little bit because we don't want that. You won't get a hold of the tissue. So now with your fingers back here, put the other hand in front of it and not over the thumb. Now take the hand that's here and push against that other hand. That's the stretch you want. Does that make sense? If I'm just going to yank those fingers back, I'm not going to do anything for your neurology to remember the stretch once you've stopped. But if you turn your muscles on, there'll be memory that lingers, and we like that because I'm losing every bit of memory I have. Roll the thumb. Can't move my thumb very much, but you should. Good. And you can give that up. Same arm, let's do the other side. Chances are you're spending more time doing this or that than we might have before all of this. So with the arm down, hand down, soft elbow, hand in front, and actually slide the hand in front of the finger joints as opposed to the top of the hand, and just give it a shove. Shove into the hand. And if it's above your chest, lower it a bit so I don't snag your neck. Right? 10, 9, 8, drop those shoulders down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so shake it loose. You got the idea? We'll do the other side. So I could put my hand on the wall. I could put my hand on the cart and do the exact same thing. So instead of using my other hand, I could simply brace it against something, whether you're using your own hand or not. And I'm just going to push on the cart. 5, 4, 3, 2, roll your thumb. And then give it a go on the other side. Just make sure we don't bring it up above your neck. Put the other hand in front. So good to see you, Gustavo. Press. This is not an all-girls club. Thank you, Rich. Representing for the men. Okay. Got the idea? All of your muscles work the same way, by the way. So that stretch, wherever you're putting it, if you can contract against something that doesn't move, you're going to get the biggest benefit from your stretch. You with me on that? So opening up the chest. You've done it sort of with the towel and the club, but let's line you up to the cart. So stick your arm out on the rail. This works great on the wall. We do a lot of this kind of work on the floor, but for those of us with cranky backs, this is a better approach. So it's your right hand. Can I get everybody on the same side, and that way I'll cue it better? Right hand. So you can hold the pole, but I'd really just kind of lean up against it. Start to rotate the opposite way until you can't. Right? I mean, it's a tap. I'm not going that far. And then just kind of press into the cart while you gently make, I don't know, nose circles, just a little bit of motion with your head. So, right, it's this idea, and will you step away, stay where you are. It's the idea that with, I'll do you right there, right? The cart is doing this part, she's pushing against it, does work great with a partner. Moving your head is part of the stretch, but that's the idea. And you can go up, you can go down. I would do it in all of the locations that you can comfortably do it in. Go ahead and do your pirouette. We'll do the other side. So, did we touch upon, are you on the other arm? Do you know what you're hitting with this stretch? Do you get some idea? Do you have a feeling of what it is? Anybody want to point at where they feel it? Okay, everybody pretty much something in here. So Rich, if you turn to your right, so turn towards the club, leave that arm, keep turning towards, yep, keep turning. Now here's the thing, and you move your nose so I get a little bit through the neck. What you're also getting is a chance to pucker these shoulder blade muscles back here, and you're gonna need those when you swing that club. Hopefully not nearly as many times as I have to, but that's what you're looking for your power and your strength. When these muscles back here can get together, and you take your swing, you're using your back muscles, and they're fierce. They're the ones that are going to put you distance and strength and power on the course. Does that make sense? I know there was something else. Now I want to take requests too. Is there anything we have? Oh, I watched this. Okay, anybody done that one? Anybody done that one? Okay. Can we talk about that one? I promise I won't kill it, because I like it. Because again, I like the... Golf does this, right? It kind of turns us out, it steps us out. I like the things that bring you together because that's a better stretch for golf. But I'll address the stretch because I think some of you will love it anyway. I want to hang on to something. And the reason I want you to hang on to something, if I don't, I'm going to sink into myself. I just want to give you every opportunity to pull apart. So if you're comfortable and you do the crossover, a couple of things. You have to make sure that you're rotating the thigh. Right? Some people put a hand right on top of that knee and just press. You're killing it. You're killing it. So many structures that you're putting in jeopardy there. But what if you want to stick your hand there, because it's open as far as it can be. You can stick your butt back. I would hang. I might even use both hands. But I would take my hand to that thigh and I would push. Push back with the leg, right? Don't let the arm be in charge of it. Because again, you're trying to get these structures to be either loose or strong, not tight and inflexible. So fire the muscle while you're there. Leave it after you stop firing it, sink into it perhaps a little bit, and then let it go. Now, of course, would you sit down in the cart for us? Erica had no idea what she was going to do today. She kept asking me, what is it doing that? I'm like, the reason why I didn't want to tell her anything is because I didn't know if any of you were going to all of this you can do anywhere, any place, anytime for free with no prior knowledge of anything, right? So if you were to do the other leg, say seated. So you did one standing, so she's going to pick the other leg. Here's the thing. So I like it better in the cart to some degree because you're offloading the knees. Then I don't have to worry about, what's happening there. But if she's going to do that stretch and she's seated, most people do what when they get seated with it? How would you? Yeah, right? They're going to come forward. just remember, you can come forward. I would just stick my hands on the seat, and all of you, will you try it just so you can feel it? From a seated position, and I know Anne's got fantastic hips, so she's not going to overcook this, but you want to get leverage on the stretch, right? I want decompression, not compression. So I'm going to stick my long arms either behind me somewhere, if I can comfortably go there, and I might drive forward, but you better go up. And at the same time, you're sort of sticking your butt down into the seat while you do it, and that should allow you a pretty good stretch. What do you think? Now here's the other thing. While you're there, the foot that's on the bottom of the cart, the one that your leg is propped on, lift your heel up. So you just up the stretch, right? And I like the idea of lifting it so that leg gets down there, go like that. So you just raise the stretch. Now again, you have to be careful. I'm not trying to jam the stretch into you because that is not stretch. I know. You're trying to simply add, more length to the stretch, right? Are we good on that one? So while we're on the subject, anybody have any that we kind of haven't covered?
Don't we tend to do this one?
Okay. A twist. So glad she brought that up. Okay. I want to blow your mind. You ready? If you're going to twist 1,000,000 times on the course, is it beneficial and productive for you to twist in your warm-up? Now, I'm not going to just so you know, none of this is my opinion. I'm going to give you straight up science of your anatomy. It's not how I feel about it. It is just what it is. So I worked with a professional baseball player. He got paid $1 million. He came in for rehab with me, and his coach said to me, don't make him twist. He does that all day. Don't twist him. We need to unwind the twist. So here's my answer to whether or not you twist or stretch to warm up. Some of you can put your hands on the cart. I'll go to this one. No, I'll do your cart. So, Erica, put your hands on. You can either do the rail or the chair. Walk your legs back until you're in a plank position. Yep. Squeeze tight, grab. Make sure where's your head when you do it. Exactly. It's stacked up on your back. That is how you stretch the parts of your back that get twisted from the golf swing. Does that make sense to you guys? I'm so glad you brought that up because there are two other things I want to do with this. Now, your level of plank capability may not match the lady who's next to you or Rich's, right? So you can go higher if that's too, right? If this is too deep for you, you just start walking it up. I could do it on a kitchen counter. I could do it on a wall and feel really good about it because then I can work my elbows or whatever. But you should also do it on one side. I know it's starting to get chilly. That sun's going down, isn't it? We're wrapping this up. That. Take a side. Anybody with a cranky back, and you don't have to raise your hand. I'm not calling you out, but chances are, if you've ever had a stiff or sore back, one of these side planks is your medicine. Because you can lean into that side plank and then walk around, and chances are you might have released what you had. So take a shot at it, spin it sideways. So just to give them other options, if leaning on your arm is not good, right? I could do it that way. I could do it that way. I didn't know until I walked over here how I was going to do it, so I couldn't tell you. But here's the thing I would also do. Stagger your feet. The wider your legs are or the stance can make it easier or harder. So if you're up for the challenge, those stacked legs that you all did was brilliant. But if you really are, if you're a little sticky back there, you can open it up and make it very modified. Bless you, God bless you. Have you done both sides? Will you all go like this? These are your victory arms. You have put up with me long enough. Myself and Erica are so grateful that you guys came out. I know it's getting wicked cold. I'm going to do these probably twice a month at this same time, weather permitting. So if you want to be contacted or you would like to do this again, please, we'll take your contact information. It's so grateful to be here. I love you all. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Stay safe, be well.